Not there. Not there. I want this. This should stack. There we go. That should stack. There we go. Down here. We're just going to start throwing things in containers because screw it. Do you really do consulting? I have started actually consulting recently. Yes. Yep. I actually offer a consulting thing. So if devs have a game coming out or that are in production, I will play their game and then spend a couple hours telling them how it can be better. Absolutely. If I were to have done that on this game, we would have had a long discussion on QOL, on the way that the sorting works, on the inventory. Really, the thing about some games is that if you're leaning into a genre, there are certain things that you need to hit to make the player base happy. And it's like, it's kind of like the same kind of discussion we've had with AAA. If you price your game as AAA, these days, there are certain expectations that come with that. And it kind of works the same way for a genre. If you are going to be a survival explorer builder, like Valheim, there are certain things that will make or break your game. Certain things that will take your game from a good game to a great game. And knowing that stuff like a half year before release for companies like this would have been invaluable. If this game would have released with sorting, with the ability to instantly click a button and everything goes into all nearby chests, like I would probably be talking about this game in glowing terms. But instead, I'm sitting here going, the inventory stuff sucks, it's too tedious, and honestly, it's just frustrating. Like it's just a few features can make or break a genre like this. And almost every genre is like that, to be honest. Almost every genre is like that, where it's just like, if you just get the few little nuances that your player base is wanting / expecting, it can really, really, really help your product. And to be clear, most of the stuff I would suggest is kind of obvious to you because we're gamers. But in the last few months, since I've been doing this whole investing thing, I've talked to over 40 teams making games. And if there's one big takeaway I've had from it, it's that especially when smaller teams are focused on getting their product out, there's so many things going on in their world. There's so many things they have to worry about. There's so many hats that they're wearing that a lot of times little things don't become the focus like they should be. So it's understandable, but at the same time, that just makes it even more important, where sometimes like an outsider has to come in and be like, what you're doing is cool, but you need to focus on this, this, and this to really make your product go, again, from good to great. So it's interesting. It's an interesting situation for sure. Yep. And to be fair and clear, the Return to Moria devs, these guys, actually have some great patches coming. So they are hearing the feedback and they are going to put it in. Unfortunately, a lot of the QOL for this game, from what I understand, is coming in early December. And I will be gone from this game by early December. Which again is unfortunate, but you know, I most likely won't be playing this game anymore in early December. I posit to say that most players will not be playing this game in early December, which means it would have been so much cooler if it was here on release. But you know, unfortunately, here we are. Yeah. Could I come back to this game? Maybe. I mean, I do come back to games every so often. I might come back to this game. We'll see. It could happen. But I will say, unfortunately, I tend to not come back to games more often than I do. So, you know, there's that. Yeah. Again, it would have been 10 times better if all the stuff that they're putting in December was in on release. Yeah. First, and as Alex just said, first time impression is a huge deal for this kind of thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. It's great when the devs listen to the community and put in what they want, but, you know, we'll see.
The ostler said to his tipsy cat, the horses of the moon, they neigh and champ their silver bits, but the master spin and drowned his wind.
Oh, no, no, no. But yeah, let me make this clear. Everything I just said about the devs missing little things, it's not a slight against the devs. If anything, I understand that more and more lately. What I'm trying to say is, when you're trying to make a deadline, when you're having to prioritize what's going to make it into the game and what isn't, when you have, you know, like for instance, these guys, for instance, they're making a Survivor builder. My guess is that they got to a point where, you know, especially being a Lord of the Rings game, they got to a point where they had to make tough decisions on what was going to be in the game and what was not going to be in the game to meet their deadlines of getting the game out. In those situations, I think there are times when it's like an external perspective could definitely help them prioritize. You know, saying like, this definitely needs to be in, this definitely needs to be in, but that has to happen early in the development cycle. It's not like it could happen later, because at that point, you know, it's already too late, you know, as it were. But it's a parsnip. But you know, all this stuff is just interesting to talk about and think about. All right, let's travel back to where we were, which was here, I think. Let's see. When you have your nose in it, it's hard to see the big picture. You just don't have time to look at it. Yep. Very true. It's very true. Like I've been saying, I've been meeting with a lot of people recently because of the A16Z investment stuff. And more than a few of them has transitioned from, I'm interested to investing in your game, to I'm going to help consult on your game. And just from the meetings I've had and the demos I've played and the feedback I've given, it's really wild sometimes. Again, because especially the smaller the team, the more hats they're wearing. They're not just wearing a programming hat or an art hat or an animation hat. They're wearing a PR hat and a I need to find investors hat and a, you know, website hat and a Discord community manager hat. And they're wearing all these different hats. And to have somebody come in and be like, hey, your game's cool, but you know, there's some very basic stuff that this genre expects that you're missing. Like the couple times I've already heard people be like, oh, you're right. Like, oh dude, like, oh yes, we need to put that in. Absolutely. And more importantly, it's easy for us to put in. Like, yeah, we could put that in. Sure. It's that kind of, you know, it feels good to hear an indie dev be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. We should have put that in. How did we not think about that? We'll put that in like next patch. Like that is awesome. That is awesome. You know, feels good, man. Get some mushrooms. My dwarf is hungry. He is. He's gonna eat. We also need to get some more of this stuff here. We also are thinking we're going to take all of this. There we go. Rumbles in his tum-tum? Yes. Yes. Hey, Cohh, I just saw your Emberville release video on YouTube. It looks awesome. I'm glad you think so, man. I'm very excited to be working on Emberville. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun, dude. It's already a lot of fun, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Handsome One says you should totally expand the consulting part of your business, Cohh. It would help so many devs. I'm all the consulting stuff kind of started with the A16Z meetings, but I can confirm I'm already consulting now with 5+ devs officially, and I'm planning on growing that out. And here's the thing, the big thing that I think is to make clear is like a lot of the stuff that I'll give in consulting, I feel like many of you could do too. It's just some devs need to hear it in a specific framework for it to really hit home. And honestly, that's almost just as important as the feedback itself, in some ways. So you know, it's a growing part of what I do, and I'm thrilled to try to. Again, I love helping devs make the best version of the game they're working on. So, how much do I charge per hour to consult for a game? Depends on the game. Depends on the game and depends what you need. If you want me to play a demo for an hour and talk to you for an hour, that's one thing. If you want me to, which has happened already. If you want me to play if you want me to play your demo, which is going to take 5 to 10 hours, and then have multiple meetings at 2+ hours with multiple different teams, that's a different thing. So it depends on, the project. Also, to put it bluntly, it depends on if the project is in my wheelhouse. Yeah. What's my hourly rate? It's more than $350. More than $350. Yeah. Again, it really depends. It really depends. Yeah. Another thing is, again, I'll be blunt and open about this. It's one thing if you're a well-known company with a pedigree, and it's another thing if you're a brand new indie company that is getting by the skin of your teeth. I will charge different rates in those situations. Yep. Especially if you're an indie dev, and I like your game, and I think it's going to be awesome. Yep. That is those will lead to different rates. Yep. As they already have. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. I don't have any qualms with that. I hope most folks wouldn't. Let's go here. How deep have we gotten into the mine? I'm not sure what the total depth is right now, but it does measure things in fathoms. Yeah. Yeah, Hernseer. Dude, right? Not the first person I've heard that from. Yep. Khazad War Axe. Interesting. How deep is a fathom? I think a fathom is about 6 feet, 1.8 meters. Khazad Maul. Interesting. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think we can make... There's a certain type of bar we need. I don't think we can make it yet. Oh, I was an investor in Pantheon. Yep. I invested in Pantheon back when I had really just played the open slice, the kind of the vertical slice they released, and I was like, this could be awesome. And since then, they've made a lot of decisions, a lot of decisions, and yeah, they're kind of doing their own thing. I'm not consulting on Pantheon. They're very much doing their own thing. This guy respawned? Oh, dude, no.
A piece of Duran's axe might be in a troll cave in the lower deeps.
I don't have what I need to beat that guy. Train said, did you ever fully talk about Pantheon and the changes they're making? I made a Twitter thread about it. I don't really make many Twitter threads, but I made a Twitter thread about Pantheon. So if you're interested, it's all on my Twitter. Yeah. It's like a 5 or 6 tweet deep thing. Basically, the TLDR is I don't like the art change. I don't like the 24/7.
Eyes up! Monsters
I
in
don't
the
like the
air.
current direction of Pantheon. I still really want to play Pantheon one day. But I'm, you know, I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. I want Pantheon years ago, not years from now. And I don't think 24/7 is going the direction I want it to. But I will say, if 24/7 is actually going to get me Pantheon one day, that's great. You know, I do want Pantheon one day, but in the same vein, just like every other person who's following Pantheon, I'm not thrilled about it. The little bit of tone deafness that I think comes with this new 24/7 thing. And for those who don't know, Pantheon is basically like a re-envisioning of EverQuest. An old game that not only do I love, but I still play. I play on the Cohh server. And Pantheon was supposed to be a newer version of EverQuest. And what 24/7 is they are basically making an extraction RPG based on what they've already made for Pantheon. And it will be something you have to pay for. So the idea is that they're going to be continually raising funds for Pantheon via the 247 so they can keep developing it. But there's a lot of confusion here because they got 7+ figures of investment last year. So I was one of the people that thought they were good for money. I didn't realize, like, it just, again, it brings up all these questions like why aren't you taking these resources and putting it towards the development of the game we all want? You know, and the next big thing is really nobody's here for 24/7. Nobody is here for an extraction RPG. We're here for a newer EverQuest. So understandably, a lot of people are very concerned when they're like, where is my new EverQuest? What is this other thing? And since it's already been 8+ years that we've been waiting for this new EverQuest, it's just, you know, again, the whole thing is weird. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. What does extraction RPG mean? The idea is that they're taking all that they've done for Pantheon and they're making it so you can basically play Pantheon by going into this game mode, playing Pantheon in the game mode, but then you have to like either get out with the loot or something. I need to figure out all the details. But yeah. So here's the thing. Red Zero just said scam. You have to be careful with that word. There's a tangible difference between scam and very poor decision making. A very, very thick, bold line between those two things. It's the same. I feel the same way when people call Star Citizen a scam. It's not a scam. It's just a wildly mismanaged, out of scope project. It's not a scam. It's just very poorly managed with a souped up Arnold Schwarzenegger style marketing team. But it's not a scam. Star Citizen is not a scam. It's just, again, poorly managed and we, you know, super out of scope at this point. And I feel the same way about Pantheon. I've talked to many of the people working on Pantheon. It's not a scam. There's people at Pantheon that are trying their absolute damnedest to make this a reality. But I'm not fully convinced that the people telling those people what to do and when are doing it in a way that is going to make Pantheon be here in any type of a soon fashion. Obviously with how long the game has been in development and how little we have. So you know, it's important to say that. It's important to make sure that people understand that a scam is when people are purposefully misleading you to make money. And I don't think that's the case in this. I think it's the case of they're trying their damnedest. They're just not, they're not quite able to deliver what people want yet. So that's very different. It's very different. As a contributor, how do you feel about your Kickstarter pledge being spent on a game you don't actually want? Smishy, that's the thing. I'm not only a contributor, I'm a 5+ figure investor in Pantheon. And I will say that, again, I want the EverQuest 2 I never got. I don't care or want an extraction RPG. I also don't care or want for this newer art style. But both of those things, they say, will lead me to get what I want quicker. So if that's, you know, if that's what they got to do, if we actually get to the end game, if we actually get to the point of getting that game, like, okay, whatever, you do what you got to do to make your product. But you know, the issue is that I'm not fundamentally and fully convinced we're going to get there. That's the biggest problem. I'm not fully convinced that 24/7 is going to lead me to the game I want to play. I'm not fully convinced that the end goal is attainable. But I want it to be. I really, really want it to be. Because I really want to play that game. I would love to lose months to years of my life to a new social MMO that actually is awesome. I would love that. So, you know, I do very much hope we get there. Yeah. I mean, I've been playing EverQuest Quarm in my off time, whenever I have some free time that's not streaming, and I've been having a great time. I feel like the Quarm community is what I want to see in a new game. And I gotta say, like, it is some of the most, like, just straight up fun that I've had in an MMO in decades even. Yeah. It's been really cool. And I guarantee you, most 90% of the players on Quarm are people that would love to be playing a new game, and there's just no new game to play. There's just no new game to play. So, yeah, it literally does not exist. I want to make sure we get all the statues. We're going to make our way up to the next place here. We need to... Now, I don't have the recipe for the next ore, right? Or for the next bar. Oh, we have to make these things at this area. We can make
Drink
them.
some water before you crumble.
We can... If we get Kazad steel ingots on fine leather... What is fine leather? Uh-oh. We can only make leather. Mother leather. God, we need to get new weapons. This is painful. I still got him though. It worked out pretty well. Nah, it does, but I think it's fine. Yeah. Anything useful from the grist mill? Sorry, the what now? The grist mill? I don't think I have that, dude. How disappointed were you with EverQuest Next? So I am in a very unique position with EverQuest Next. And the position there is, well, first of all, let's start from like a global perspective. EverQuest 1, I loved. I thought it was great. I loved it. I still play it. It was, to this day, one of the most unique and awesome MMOs I've ever played. EverQuest 2 was a theme park version of EverQuest 1. And I played EverQuest 2. I did the most rating that I've ever done in an MMO in EverQuest 2. I was actually the top dirge in EverQuest 2 for years. I had a great time in EverQuest 2, but it wasn't EverQuest. It was different. It was different. So EverQuest 2 was like one big step away from EverQuest. So, follow me here. EverQuest Next, where EverQuest 1 was EverQuest plus theme park MMO. EverQuest Next was EverQuest 2 plus Minecraft. And at that point, you're in a different stratosphere than what I was looking for. So, EverQuest Next was not EverQuest 1 in any way. It was a completely different project. It was a very different, like, it was a weird, different thing. Yeah. And for those going, how did you know that? So back in the day, I was playing this game called H1Z1. And H1Z1 was being made by a company called Sony Online Entertainment, which was the company that was making EverQuest Next. So I actually got an opportunity to fly out to their studios, and I did. I flew out to their studios, and while I was there, I had the opportunity to sit in an EverQuest Next design meeting. So one of the meetings that was literally designing the foundation of EverQuest Next, I sat in for 2 hours. I didn't say a word. I sat in the back and I listened and I absorbed. I did not leave that meeting excited for EverQuest Next. I did not leave that meeting going, oh, this is going to be great. Like, I have many NDAs signed for it. Funny enough, with a company that doesn't exist anymore. So I don't know if that means I can talk about it. I'm going to play it safe and not talk about it. But I have to say that when I left that design meeting, I was like, that is not EverQuest. Like I did not leave that meeting being like, yeah, EverQuest Next is an EverQuest fan. Awesome. Like I left that meeting being like, whoa, like that is a thing. And don't get me wrong, I love EQ, and I think that, you know, funny enough, they're making a new EverQuest product. You heard about that. But yeah, EverQuest Next was not. EverQuest Next was an attempt to bring new players in to the EverQuest franchise in ways that I don't think EverQuest players were expecting. It was basically the name of EverQuest, like Roticon just said, and that was like it. It was a complete. And for those who don't know, there was this thing called EQ Landmark. And EQ Landmark was kind of like the foundation in some ways of what Next was going to be. So it was this weird, like, as Blast Priot just said, this weird, like, mainstreaming of EverQuest that frankly, I did not feel confident was going to work. It was not what I feel like they needed to do. Yeah. Am I excited for Ashes of Creation? You know what? To the credit of the devs of Ashes of Creation, they stick with that product. They fundamentally believe in it. And I will be here to play the hell out of that game when it comes out. I hope it's awesome. I hope that Ashes of Creation is awesome. I was a backer on the Kickstarter, what, years and years and years ago. I hope it's awesome. They've taken longer than people have thought, but they keep updating the community. They keep the progress going forward. So I hope it'll work. Anyway, y'all, it is late. I gotta go. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Alan Wake. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I got to admit, I really do love these streams where we just hang out and talk about games. I think it's awesome. It's a lot of fun to just chill out with people that play games and talk about games. I do not have enough people in my RL life that like games like I feel like we do. So it's cool to just hang out and talk about games. I think that's just, there's not enough of that in the world because games are awesome. So on that note, I'm out of here for now. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. ET for more of Alan Wake 2. I'm loving that. We also have maybe some, what is it called? It's not Ghost Runner. Is it Ghost Runner? Maybe it's Ghost Runner. We have Ghost Runner coming up. We're just going to call it Ghost Runner. Ghost Runner coming up. We also have hopefully some Cities Skylines 2 if they can get a patch out. Ghost Runner. It is Ghost Runner. Awesome. And I do want to return to Cyberpunk. We've got so many good games coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you join us for it. It should be good. So anyway, I'm out of here for now. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are on the globe. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. ET for more fun and games. Spleekle! No, I'm not done with Spider-Mans. I will be playing Spider-Mans at some point. Yes, I am not done with Spider-Mans. So see you guys later. Bye-bye.